welcome to the Pantheon, where it's Kamigawa, isn't it? Or is it? It's a leak. Ooh, my bathtub is spilling over and delicious spoilers are leaking. Junji, the Midnight Sky. 5 mana for a 5/5 legendary creature, Dragon Spirit. The Dragon Spirits are back. Flying and Menace, which is quite a good combination, but as with the old ones, it's all about the dies trigger, and you get 2 different choices. So when Junji, the Midnight Sky, dies, choose 1. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life, which is pretty good. Forcing your opponents to really hose their own hand is fantastic, and also that life loss, well, could easily stack up to be lethal. Or put target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose 2 life. So you lose 2 life, but it's any graveyard. We get to steal anything we want from anyone's, but of course ours. Yes, we can't get other dragons back, but mono black, not really renowned for their dragon strategies. But this is such a cool card, you know, the mono black dragon. Oh God, what's he called? I actually can't remember what he's called. Oh, I don't know. But this one is just as good, if not better. There's a lot of different directions you can take with this card. So a really cool card to see. Do you know what else is really cool? This YouTube channel. So why don't you subscribe, join me as I journey into various different realms and make videos all about them. And without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for this brand new card. And here at number 5, well, what have we got? We've got Young Necromancer, and this is all sort of leaning into the reanimation strategy we've got, because why not reanimate 1 thing? Let's reanimate 2 things, why don't we? So Young Necromancer, 5 mana, 2/3 human warlock. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you could potentially, you know, bring this back with our commander dying, and then maybe bring our commander back. Ooh, that's pretty good, isn't it? And then we can sacrifice a commander, bring something else back. But this can lead to lots of interesting change. Yes, the exiling 2 cards is, you know, pretty rubbish, but we're going to be filling our graveyards with tons of stuff. So exiling just some random goblins isn't that bad to get back a big threat, like our commander. Similarly, there's Phyrexian Delver. 5 mana, 3/2 zombie. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost. Do you like that little dance? It was pretty good, wasn't it? This, you know, is really painful. You know, it's a reanimate on a stick, but being a body means that we can sort of mess around with it. We can bring it back with our commander, bring back the commander, and then just sort of loop it maybe. And there's quite a lot of ways to gain life in this deck, or at least I would build quite a few ways in. Then Boneyard Scourge is a dragon, so we can't bring it back with our commander. However, it's a 4 mana 4/3 with flying zombie dragon, and whenever a dragon you control dies while Boneyard Scourge is in your graveyard, you may pay 2. If you do, return it to the graveyard, from the graveyard to the battlefield. So this is a great way of using our commander's dies effect, because our commander will be dying quite a lot, you know, due to our own hands. And then we can get back another body while our commander reanimates something else. So it's a great way of building up a board state. And speaking of the fact that our commander is a dragon, Crux of Fate is a great board wipe to have. 5 mana, sorcery, choose 1, destroy all dragons. Well, if you're really wanting to activate your commander, you know, you really want to make your opponents discard 2, yeah, you could use that, maybe. Or you could destroy all non-dragon creatures, so that just board wipes everything, and we get to keep our commander until later in the game. Maybe we sacrifice it for a certain effect. Maybe, you know, our opponents only have 2 cards left in hand. Suddenly they have none. We're just laughing maniacally. And that brings me on to number 4. At number 4, we've got Keru Bloodsucker. Now, I talked about a bit of life gain, and this is a great way of doing it that fits with the theme of the deck. 3 mana, 2/2. Whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Guess what? Our commander has 5 toughness. Oh, it's going to trigger that. And this is also a sacrifice outlet built in. 3 mana, sacrifice another creature, put a 1/1 counter on Keru Bloodsucker. This is a card, I love the artwork on this. It looks absolutely repulsive and disgusting. It's like it's wearing a human face over its, big mandibles and stuff. Amazing look to the card. And I've always thought it was really cool in like a limited sort of setting. And here, it just works perfectly in the deck. So definitely worth an include for me. Then another interesting card. I've always looked at this card. The artwork's stunning as ever. But Drastic Harvester, 3 mana 4/4 horror, protection from white. That's pretty good. At the end of a turn, you lose 4 life. Oh, okay. But whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you gain 2 life. So we can easily balance off that 4 life loss by, sacrificing our commander. Our opponents, maybe a couple of creatures theirs dies. You gain all that life back. It's such a cool card. I thought it's a great include to have in the deck. Then we've got Death Greeter, 1 black for a 1/1 human shaman. Whenever another creature dies, you may gain 1 life. You can forget that, and your opponents don't have to tell you. So remember your triggers. But this is a good way of, the main thing I want to be doing with this deck is the reanimation side of our commander. But it costs us 2 life. Well, with effects like this, when we sacrifice our commander, we're going to gain at least 1 back. Or, with the Drastic Harvester, gain 2 back. And that's really, really cool. We can just keep doing it over and over again. Then there's the Bastion of Remembrance. 2 mana enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Could have talked about Blood Artist, that's the one. I was literally going over in my head. I was like, right, it's a vampire. It's to do with blood. And then I think he's drawing. Yes, artist. But that is the actual name of the card. So Blood Artist, those sort of effects fit wonderfully with this card. Which takes me on to number 3. At number 3, we've got Discard, and discard matters because our commander has 2 different modes. The reanimation mode, which sort of talked about, and then the discard mode. When our commander dies, our opponents, collectively between the 3 opponents, or 28 if you're playing some satanic ritual, will be discarding at least 6 cards. So, get Grimoire, 4 mana for an artifact. Whenever an opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you may draw a card. We'll draw 6 cards if it's on the field. And that is phenomenal. I've always liked this card. I love the artwork. Oh, there's a lot of great artwork going on in this commander set. I like it. But who doesn't like a book with a face? I do personally. But you can draw tons of cards. Really, really nice. It's also a May. Don't forget it. Then there's Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. Very expensive. 2 mana, 1/2. I think it's like 20, 30 pounds or something ridiculous. Skeleton Rogue, at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So, you can sort of manipulate this. If you've got a lot of discard synergies or things that make opponents discard, this can draw you tons of cards. And then pay 6 mana. Each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. Easily a game-winning play. We can just absolutely destroy our opponents, force them to discard everything, and then bing bang bosh, they've taken loads of life. Then the classic Waste Not, 2 mana for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, create 2 black. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature non-land card, draw a card. This is just so much value, and it's 2 mana. You're going to get it out before your commander, because our commander's a bit of a weighty 5 mana. Not as bad as the old one. Is it right you say the old one? Oh, it was the red one. I can't remember what the black one was called. For the life of me. But Waste Not fits wonderfully in this deck. And Gaia Reach Sanitarium is wonderful because it's a land that has a great effect for this sort of deck. Taps for a colorless and pay 2 tap. Each player draws a card, then discards a card. It's not a May. Been talking a lot about Mays. May, my favourite month. This is forced. You have to discard those cards. And we're going to be sifting through our deck, maybe put something into our graveyard that we can reanimate. This just works on so many different levels for us. Then Tegrid, horrible. Brilliant card for us, but horrible for our opponents. God of Fright. Ooh. 5 mana, 4/5 with Menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So if we're forcing our opponents to discard everything when Tegrid's out, or Tergrid, this is going to be wonderful because we're just going to get everything that they've discarded back onto the field. Amazing, amazing card. Then the flip side to Tergrid is her Lantern. 4 mana for a legendary artifact. Tap, target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice an online permanent or discard a card. And you can pay 4 mana to untap Tergrid's Lantern. So this is just really nice, another discard sort of forcing effect. But it can also win you the game. If you get infinite mana or just a lot of mana, you can just use it over and over again by untapping it. It's just insane. And then a great way to fill our graveyard but also force our opponents to discard is Dark Deal. 3 mana sorcery. Each player discards all cards in his or her hand and draws that many cards. -1. You're going down 1. This is wonderful. Sift through the deck, fill the graveyard with goodies to reanimate, and their opponents have just discarded a lot of their hand. So any plans that they had, any combos they were assembling, well, it's in the graveyard now. Bye. And that brings me on to number 2. At number 2, well, what have we got? We've got Ayara, First of Lockthwain. 3 mana for a 2/3. Now, this touches on a couple of different things that I've been talking about. Gaining life and sacrifice. Sacrifice is very important because we want to be able to trigger our commander. 3 mana Elf Noble 2/3. Whenever Ayara or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So our commander coming in will gain his life, and then if we're reanimating a creature, we'll gain another life. So we've cancelled out the 2 life that we've been losing. Doing it very, very nice. Then you can tap sacrifice another black creature, draw a card. So a great sacrifice outlet, fills your hand with cards. This card just does everything we'd want to be doing. Wonderful card. Then Altar of Dementia is an amazing sacrifice outlet for this deck. 2 mana artifact, sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. So, if we've got our commander on the field, there's not too many good things where we can sacrifice some of our other creatures to mill ourselves and then go, haha, I found what I need. And sacrifice our commander and bring it back onto the field. Or you could just go, really hard and have massive. If you've got massive creatures, sacrifice them all, force your opponents to mill out. Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. Then there's Ashnod's Altar, another sacrifice outlet. It's important to have these sacrifice outlets, and this is one of the best. 3 mana for an artifact, sacrifice a creature. Add double colours to your mana pool. Ooh, that's pretty goddamn good. I can tell you that. You're going to be pretty happy if you're using this. Anyway. There's a Nim Deathmantle. This is technically not a sacrifice outlet, but I think it really fits in this section of the sort of Pantheon. What we're going to be doing here is bringing back our commander. 2 mana for an equipment. A quick creature has +2/+2 and is Intimidate and is a black zombie. So our commander will be a flying, menacing, intimidating 7/7, which is 3 swings and someone's dead. So that's pretty good by itself. But whenever a non-token creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4 mana. If you do, return the card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it. Equip for 4. So, why is this so good? Because our commander wants to be dying. He wants to die. He's unhappy with everything that's going on. He's like, you can take over. But we can bring him back out of the graveyard and go, no, you're not finished your shift. You've got 3 hours left. Come back. And then we can sacrifice him again and just pay 4 mana, get him back. We can easily build up a massive board set. And remember, our commander can steal from any graveyard. Amazing card. Then here are some utility lands that I think should definitely be in, because having that sacrifice outlet for, activating our commander is incredibly important. So having it on a land is key. Phyrexian Tower, legendary land, taps for colours. Or you can tap, sacrifice a creature, our commander maybe, I don't know, to add double black. So a nice bit of ramp and sacrifice our commander. Then there's High Market, a land, taps for colours. Or we can tap, sacrifice a creature. You gain 1 life. Ooh, that's nice. Can really sort of get you out of sticky situations where you're about to die, and then you get that 1 life that you really needed. And we can trigger our commander to sort of do whatever we want. Then there's Mirren the Moaning Well, an excellent life gain card. Legendary land, taps for a colourless or a generic, can't remember which. Pay 3 and tap, sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. So with our commander, we're going to be gaining 5, or we can bring back some massive creatures to be able to sort of gain tons of life. Really great card for the deck. Which brings me on to number 1. And this card, and the sort of cards I'm going to be talking about here, Was one of the first decks I ever built. I think it was the third deck I ever built for Magic, or maybe fourth, or at least commander decks. And on the face of it, it's absolute trash. It's He Who Hungers. I love this card, the artwork, the name, He Who Hungers. I am pretty hungry right now. You know, it's been a long day at work and I'm starving. But what is he hungry for? Well, spirits. 5 mana for a 3/2 flying spirit. Pay 1, sacrifice a spirit, and our commander is a dragon spirit. Woohoo! Target opponent excuse me, reveals his or her hand. Choose a card from it. That player discards that card. Play this ability only anytime you could play a sorcery. And then Soul Shift 4. So let's talk about this. So, 5 mana, not great. But being able to sacrifice a spirit, our commander maybe, or itself, is really nice because we can just rip our opponent's hands to pieces. We can force them to discard 2 cards with our commander, and then we look at the best player and we go, well, you're not having this combo piece. Haha, goodbye. Soul Shift 4 means that when this dies, or goes to the graveyard, however you want to phrase it, that we get to get a spirit card with 4 CMC or less back to our hand. So with all the other spirits that we've got going on in the deck, we could bring it back. And it just like, we can chain it together. Sadly, we can't bring our commander back because it's 5 CMC. But this card, while terrible, I think just works brilliantly for this deck. Then we've got Kaioki. Sanity's Eclipse. 6 mana for a demon spirit, 6/4. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, target opponent removes a card from his or her hand from the game. Isn't that exactly what we want to do? Yes, it's not discard. Oh, sorry. But it's going to be really, well, it's like mega discard, isn't it? It's going to exile. Our opponents are powerless to stop us. Really great card. Then there's Infernal Kirin. 4 mana for a Kirin Spirit. 3/3 flying. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, target player reveals his or her hand and discards all cards with that spell's converted mana cost. Well, if you're playing against, you know, like a really CEDH sort of player and you play it for like 1, they could reveal their hand as a Brainstorms, Preordains, Sol Rings, they discard them all. I don't know why I've not played these cards, but you could potentially be forcing them to discard all them. It's a really cool card that works with the sort of spirit, sort of tribal thing we're going for. Then there's a Name Death Aspect. 6 mana 4/4 spirit. When it comes into play, you may search your library for any number of spirit cards, put them into your graveyard. If you do, shuffle your library. Well, this is fantastic with our commander because our commander allows us to choose any of those spirits we just tutored for and get it straight back onto the battlefield. Ooh, so good. Then there's the Midnight Banshee. 6 mana 5/5 spirit with Wither. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/-1 counter on each non-black creature. Really nice little board wipe. And we're mono black. We're not worried about that counter, you know. Have your counters. Go on. Have them. I cannot. Have your counters. And then they'll die. Then there's the Kryptgast, a mono black staple. You're going to put this in your deck anyway, but it's a spirit. 4 mana 2/2 with Extort. And whenever you tap the swamp for mana, add black to your mana pool. So it's doubling all of your swamps. What can you say? Cage Marrow, First to Suffer, is a fantastic little board wipe here. 5 mana Demon Spirit. Cage Marrow, First to Suffer's power and toughness each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Pay a black and sacrifice it. All creatures get -X/-X. Until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So an excellent recurable board wipe. You know, we could use this if it's 5 or bigger, our commander dies, then get it back. Just wonderful. It just works brilliantly in this deck. And those are my top 5 cards for this brand new Dragon Spirit. Really quite cool. I still can't remember what the original Dragon Spirit was called. I have no idea what it was called. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and it's been helpful. And I'll see you soon. Bye.